George, I've heard some people say that in John's Gospel, Jesus never answers the question he's asked. What do you think about that?
I can understand why people think that. Jesus speaks at length in John's Gospel in a way that he doesn't in any of the other Gospels. And sometimes the discourses, as they're often called, can be quite hard to follow. It can be difficult to see how the logic fits together. And that sometimes leads people to the conclusion that Jesus is just talking randomly and not answering the question. I think it will really help you, though, as you read John's Gospel, if you assume what Jesus says does speak into, in some way, the comment or the question that's just been made by the people that he's speaking to. So to give a really brief example, in John chapter 6, many disciples heard Jesus talking about his death in chapter 6, verse 60, and they say, "This is a hard saying, who can listen to it?" And Jesus replies to them, knowing that they were grumbling about it, "Do you take offense at this? Then what if you were to see the Son of Man ascending to where he was before?" Sounds pretty random. We've not been talking about the Son of Man or his ascension very much in this chapter of John so far. But when Jesus talks about the Son of Man ascending in John's Gospel, it refers to his return to the Father via his death on the cross, which is exactly what Jesus has been talking about in the verses immediately before this. Jesus is saying, if you find it offensive that I talk about my death and your need to eat and drink of my flesh and blood, what about when you actually see it, when you see the Son of Man returning to his Father's right hand? So just a little example of how assuming that Jesus is answering the question can really help us make sense of his teaching in John.